We have all heard about the ICJ case of South Africa against Israel. And the ICJ came out with the following. In a historic ruling, the ICJ stated it had jurisdiction to rule in the case filed by South Africa accusing Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. The interim ruling issued by the court ordered 6 provisional measures, including Israel taking all necessary measures to prevent genocidal acts, preventing and punishing direct and public incitement to the genocide, and taking immediate and effective steps to ensure the provision of humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza. The ICJ also ordered Israel to preserve evidence of genocide and to submit a report to the court within a month regarding its compliance with the order. Now, what does this mean? And how did this case come up in the first place? Is the genocide happening in Gaza until this day? Is it because of what happened on 7th of October? And does Israel have the right to defend itself? Even though the ICC ruled that Israel does not have the right to defend itself against someone it is occupying, and it cannot claim self-defense when it commits a crime. But wait, wasn't the land they call Palestine an empty land before the Zionist Jews found it to call it a home? Was there anyone even living there before the establishment of the State of Israel? If there's no one, as the Israelis currently claim, then why are there millions of people on the streets chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free?
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free!
Well, to understand this, we have to go back in history to understand what's truly happening right now. Before 1948, the region known as Palestine was a diverse and historically significant area with rich cultures, religions, and civilizations. It is important to note that the concept of a unified and distinct Palestinian identity was not as prevalent before the mid-20th century, and the region was inhabitable by various ethnic and religious groups. Before 1948, Palestine looked something like this. Palestine takes place in the Western Asia, roughly located between the Mediterranean Sea to the west and the Jordan River to the east. The total population of Palestine in 1945 was around 1,700,000. There were around 1 million Muslims, 550,000 Jews, 100,000 Christians, and 14,000 classified as others, or typically Druze. The region was known for its fertile land, and crops such as olives, wheat, and citrus fruits were cultivated. Additionally, trade routes passing through the area contributed to economic activities. The economy was, to a large extent, agrarian, with many people engaged in farming and related activities. They focused on education, diversity, culture, and they loved reading a lot. Before 1948, Palestinians demonstrated a strong commitment to education. The 3 types of schools in Palestine were governmental, private Arab, and private foreign, the latter being established by various European and American associations. Despite being the largest, governmental schools were not the result of British government generosity, but rather the Palestinian keen interest in acquiring knowledge. In 1921, the literacy and education rate among Palestinians reached 45% of the population, a significant percentage for that time. This information was presented and submitted by the Palestinian delegation to the President of the League of Nations in Geneva, calling the establishment of a national government in Palestine. The cultural landscape of historical Palestine was characterized by the coexistence of diverse communities, each contributing to the overall richness of the region. Arab and Jewish culture, in particular, had a long history of interaction and shared influences. The region underwent various periods of rule by different empires and powers throughout history, including the Ottoman Empire. The aftermath of the World War I saw the League of Nations granting Britain the mandate to govern Palestine. During this period, tensions increased between Arab and Zionist Jewish community, as the Zionist movement gained momentum, advocating for a national homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. Wait. What Zionist movement? Well, for that, we will need to go back again to 1897, where it was the first Zionist Congress held by or organized by Theodor Herzl that took place in Basel, Switzerland. It marked the official establishment of the Zionist organization and the formulation of the Basel Program, which aimed of creating a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine under public law. The Zionist movement refers to the political and cultural movement that emerged in the late 19th century to establish a Zionist Jewish state homeland in Palestine. Then moving forward to 1916, when the Sykes-Picot Agreement was signed by Britain and France, marking major changes that are happening to our world till today, and specifically, geographical changes. The Sykes-Picot Agreement proposed the partitioning of the Ottoman Empire's territories into spheres of influence for France and Britain. The agreement envisioned international control over certain areas, including Palestine. The subsequent League of Nations mandate system established after World War I granted Britain the mandate to govern Palestine. After 1920, when World War I finished, the Ottoman Empire lost rule over the Palestinian lands, and that's when the British mandate took place. That's when the League of Nations granted Britain the rule of Palestine, where they started sending out more Zionist Jewish troops to Palestine and weaponizing them, increasing the terror and safety of the Palestinians in the region. During World War II, the British government maintained its control over Palestine, implementing policies that affected the Jewish and Arab communities. Then came the White Paper. The White Paper of 1939, influenced by the geopolitical considerations of the time, limited Jewish immigration to Palestine and restricted land sales to Zionist Jews, altering the demographic and political dynamics, where more foreign Jews who believed in the Zionist movement immigrated to Palestine, as the Zionist movement promised that it was their homeland and that any act of aggression that happened against the Palestinian indigenous people was acceptable. And since the Zionist Jews made all acts of aggression acceptable against the Palestinians with the help of Britain, of course, this led to illegal attacks against them all the time. From excluding them of their basic human rights to attacking them in their lands and homes, resulting in many Palestinians killed. This went on until the great catastrophe happened, the Nakba.